So I now have a document confirmation. It is being live streamed. And with the live streaming minute, Ms. Brunson, if you would now
Dr.
call the
Van, give
meeting
me
to
1
order.
second. I'm going to
Okay.
copy the streaming link so that the public
Okay.
will be on as well.
We'll put the streaming link on the public, is right.
Hello. Just a minute.
Always, is everything set?
We're just waiting to get it up on the
Okay.
CLP link so that
Good
people have
enough.
access to it. Alan said it'll probably take about 3 minutes. Just give me 1 second.
Okay. Just everybody doing, we'll be fine.
Has everyone got their copies of the document? This was sent to us before our July 15th meeting, and it was sent immediately after our July 15th meeting.
You guys are live.
Okay, so we are live. Okay, Ms. Brunson, just so you'll know, we are streaming. The link is posted on the website for anybody who was looking, and we will let you call the meeting to order and proceed. Thank you for your time and patience in getting things up and running and the technology going to make sure we don't violate public meetings law.
The meeting is now called to order at 5:10 p.m. on August 5th, 2021. We will begin as last time with introductions for all attending the meeting. I am Gay Brunson. I am meeting chair, and we'll just go through the pictures next. Everyone introduce yourself, please.
I actually don't see all the pictures.
I don't either.
Well, I see them all, so it must be something you're not got your settings right on your Zoom. How many do you see, Angela? May I help you with that?
I see the speaker, and that's all.
Okay, because you have speaker view selected in your display, and you should change it to all the display.
All
Up
right,
at the top on
Sandy,
the right.
I got it. I got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt your proceedings, Ms. Brunson.
All right, well, let's go through and everyone please introduce yourself.
Am I at the top? I'm at
Go
the top.
for it.
All right, I'm Angela Foley.
That's fine.
and
Okay.
I'm in the secondary education educator position.
I'm Larry Broussard, and I'm in the specialist category position.
I'm Ashley Ware, and I'm in the lab assistant position.
I'm Michelle Warner, management position.
See.
I'm Shannon Skinner. I'm the LCTCS representative position.
I'm Beverly Ogden. I'm representing Louisiana Pathology Society.
I'm Jessica Lassiter. I'm educator position.
Yolanda?
I'm Yolanda Bennett. I'm representing clinical laboratory scientist position. I can't see y'all.
We look really good.
Yeah, we did.
I'm so sorry. Oh, it's got to be a setting. Do you have speak of you selected?
Do you have like a bunch of squares that you can pick, like 9 squares or something
Up at the
that says
top right-hand
grid?
corner usually.
So what happened is you got to hit, there's a view. There's a little thing in the right-hand corner that says view. And when you hit that, you have to choose the option that allows you to see everybody. It's view standard, side-by-side speaker, side-by-side gallery. So you got to put standard.
I'm gonna have to play with it because I'm not on my device. I'm on my husband's device. I do not.
Okay.
Oh, it's your husband's fault. No wonder.
Yeah. I'm gonna play with it. I'm gonna pull y'all up.
All right.
Yolanda, would you spell your last name?
Bennett.
Oh, Bennett. Okay. All right. Okay. Fine. And Ashley, can I ask you, are you Ashley Ware or Ashley Fontenot?
I'm Ashley Ware.
Okay.
Fontenot is my maiden name.
Your maiden name. Okay. I didn't know whether
Yes,
you had got married and changed to Fontenot. All right, we're good. Thank you.
Oh, look, I just got a text that there's no link on the website.
Yes,
For the
there
meeting.
is. Yeah.
There he is?
Yeah, there is. You text him back saying it's up and published.
Okay.
We have a quorum of members here. We have a few additional people. Ms. Wilton, would you introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Patricia Wilton. I'm the executive counsel to the LSBME and here to assist the board or Dr. Collada as necessary.
Thank you. And JACINTHA?
Yes, I'm JACINTHA DUTHU. I'm the executive staff officer for the board.
And we have Dr. Van.
And
Yes, here I am.
I'm Patsy Jarrow with the board too.
And I'm going to text Alan to make sure that it's on the website, just to make sure everybody understands it is on the website, but I'll text it again and make sure Alan gets it taken care of. 1 second, I'll do that.
Okay.
Also, Alexa Little, CLIA consultant.
Thank you. All righty. There are multiple options for folks to make public comment. Again, they'll be submitted in written form to public comment at lsbme.la.gov, just as they were last time. Dr. Van, do we just need to hang on till you confirm?
Yeah, I've seen it, but I'm going to be sure that I'm sending it again. Okay, I just texted him. And hopefully, and I'm going to call him. If you go ahead and proceed on with the meeting, and I'm going to call him to be double sure.
Okay. Were there public comments have been submitted and everyone has received that in email form? We will not be reading them all here tonight. Our goal of tonight's meeting is to discuss the proposed changes to the current rules. And y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but these rules were published in 1994. And so these are the rules that we'll be looking at tonight. My goal is for our meeting to not go over 90 minutes. We will be discussing subchapter B, and each member will be allotted 3 minutes per paragraph to help us try to get through this. Do we need to have a motion to say this is what we're going to be talking about tonight, Dr. Van, or we just work through it as we go?
No, it's on your agenda, but I will say it's not on the website. I just pulled it up myself. So why don't we just wait just another couple minutes before you get into the true business of actually deliberating on these rules? Because there's enough eyes on this meeting already that we don't want to.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to let you know, I reconfirmed it. It's on the, if anybody asks, it's on the website, on the clinical laboratory and the advisory committees, and the link is there. All they have to do is click on it,
It's
but it's on
not,
the
I'm
website.
looking at it. It's
You're not
not.
seeing it?
No.
All right,
It
let me
says
go back.
It says agenda and minutes, but there's no link.
Yeah, I don't see
Hang
the link
on.
either, Dr. Van.
All right, call Alan again and tell him we can't find the link, and I'll go back and look for it again.
Okay.
It's on the licensing page for, okay, so let's see.
Well, if you click on Clinical Laboratory Advisory Committee and you go down to meetings and you go to August 5th, 2021, you see agenda and minutes, but no link.
All right. Jacinta's calling him again. Just make sure it's up. Just give us a minute.
Okay, so I asked them they did a little housekeeping about how they were going to proceed, but I asked them to hold on just a minute before they got into the
Yeah,
meeting
that's
today.
fine. Okay.
He said he's checking it again now. Just give him a second.
Okay.
Do we have a copy of the minutes? Are we going to approve the minutes from last time?
Yes, we will. I'll show them to you there. As soon as we get to that point, I can show them to you. Were you all able to get to your link to read the minutes?
I did not get the minutes, or if I did, I missed them. Did y'all get the minutes?
Yes, we sent them with the notice, the link to the cloud share.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I just.
And I'm
missed
going to open them up and show them to y'all in a second.
it. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so. Stop my share there.
If we don't finish section B tonight, we'll just have another meeting. I think we'll have to eat this elephant in little bites.
I need to be able to share a screen on my Van, Dr. Van 1, please, Jacinta.
All right, making it work now. It's
Thank you.
Alan. Hey, Alan. All right, for the public and all members, the YouTube link has been posted to the LSBME website.
Okay, so I need to screen share if you don't mind there we go. Thank you very much. Okay, so now you can see the meeting minutes. Can you all see that? Okay, so you asked for the meeting minutes, there they are. And they were on your cloud share and you get
That's the
those.
agenda.
Okay, but this is, okay,
Okay, scroll down.
yep,
All right.
here are your minutes.
Ms. Brunson, would you like to make a little comment for the public that are joining us now that there was a little bit of issue with the link getting set up and we did not take any business during the time that the link was getting started. We're just now starting the meeting with reviewing the minutes.
Certainly. Our waiting on the link, we have just sat here patiently and waiting and conducted no business other than pulling up the minutes for approval that we are just sitting here waiting. No business has been conducted. Once everyone has reviewed the minutes, we would entertain a motion for that. Let me go back and say comment. There are multiple opportunities for public comment. They are to be submitted in writing at publiccomment@lsbme.la.gov. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
I move to accept the minutes. This is Larry.
I'll second it. Shannon.
All those in favor of accepting the minutes as presented to us, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? The motion carries. Minutes have been approved. Can we, I don't guess we can't look at the, you cannot show the executive session and it's there for us to vote on the.
You can
So we'll
show
have to
this,
do that at a.
as long as you're not beyond the executive session placeholder, those are the public minutes. So those can be shown to the public.
Okay, well, then that's as far as we'll go there. Can we go back to the agenda? All right. Whoops. Our meeting tonight, the focus of our meeting tonight is rules revision. The goal tonight is to review and vote on, discuss subchapter B. We hope to get this meeting through. I hope to get this meeting through in 90 minutes. I'm going to start my clock. If we don't finish, we will have another meeting and we'll work on toward that. If everyone's in agreement with that, we'll proceed as such.
I have one question, or do I need to raise my hand? So we got through subchapter A, and if I remember correctly, what?
A is done. We voted and approved A.
Well, okay, that's what it all of a sudden occurred to me when I was looking at the minutes, and again, I submitted them, that there is nothing under that topic that said that it was moved and seconded that the revisions from subchapter A. I don't know that we ever officially took a vote. Y'all refresh my memory.
Yes, ma'am, you did take a vote. And the opportunity now is to go back, redress by asking for a motion to reconsider the minutes and amend the minutes.
Okay, well, does anybody remember who moved and who seconded? Because I, for whatever reason, I don't have that in my notes. Does
That
anybody?
information you can always get back. If you go back to the YouTube link from the July 15th meeting, the public session meeting is streamed. So you can actually review all the business that happened in public session if you want to get those names and motions at that time.
Okay, so what do we do then going forward?
Well, you can move to amend the minutes if you can do one of two things. You can adjourn the meeting today, or one of three things. You could adjourn the meeting today. You can stop the meeting right now, go back and we'll look for that information and give it to you. And then you can amend the minutes. Or somebody can say, I made the motion, I seconded the motion, and it was voted on, because my recollection was, there was no objection to the motion. It passed unanimously.
Hey, Dr.
Now,
Van,
Yes,
there's
ma'am.
a fourth option.
Oh, good. Tell us about it.
The fourth option is to proceed under the assumption that it's the majority recollection that it was voted on and the minutes have been approved. Proceed as if that did happen. If we find out between now and the next meeting that it didn't, the motion next meeting can be to correct the minutes and to approve subsection A.
It
In other
was
words-
voted, it was voted on. I was the one abstaining no to the whole entire thing, to one of the parts of it. It was voted on.
Okay, well, that's not in the minutes. So I'm sorry, Ms. Wilton, can you say again what that last option was? Because that sounded
Well,
good.
I think most people, I think several people are under the impression that subsection A was voted on and passed, and that we were coming back just to do subsection B. So if we go under the assumption that that occurred, then the only thing we have to do is correct these minutes to reflect that. But to make that meaningful, we would want to know who made the motion and who seconded it. And we won't know that until we check the YouTube video. So why don't we proceed as it is today? And then at the next meeting, someone can move to correct the minutes from the July meeting, inserting the proper information.
Okay. Okay, so in the minutes right now for this meeting, we'll just say that the minutes were approved. It was moved by and
Correct.
seconded. Okay, that sounds like a good option. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
All right. Do we need any vote right now for anything for starting right now doing subsection B? Are we good to go?
Okay, I will be happy to comment on public comments. At this time, we have some 27 negative comments, and I'm happy to read the names of the authors. But we do have 27 that are opposed, and they are Libra Sun, Jonique Wells, Paul Thomas, Kelly Fontenot, Claire Ducote, Andrew Campagna, Sonia Waits, Jing Zhang, Sonia Waits, Glenda Adiani, Hamdem Naktwe, Michael Stout, Michael Shreve, Ashley Fontenot, asked to be, I'm sorry, that's not an objection, I apologize. Melanie Freeman, Tanya Ferguson, Tex Familia, Lindsay Ramey, second one from Jonique Wells, Julie Dupree, Catherine Bin, Tricia Adams, Chelsea Lessinger, Sweta Seton, Jessica Valtier, Morgan Manuel, Brooke Cancian, and David Robbins. All have expressed their concern that we are going to remove their license and nullify their license. And that's their comments by and large.
Dr.
So,
Van,
Ms.
would you like to address that?
Well, I'm happy to make the comment that, number one, nobody's license would be vitiated by this board. If you recommend to do anything you do and it would put somebody's license in danger, we would instill a grandfather clause and a sunset clause. And so the simple changing of any agency's approval, they seem to be disturbed that at the present time, these rules proposal consist of a statement that the only accrediting agency testers would be those that are nationally accredited. And we would not vitiate anybody's license. We would grandfather all those people in. We would give a sunset date to allow the people who are not necessarily nationally accredited to get that national accreditation. And at that point, then all testing going on in the future would be only by those that are approved by this board and on your recommendation. So nobody's license will be vitiated. Nobody will lose their license. Everybody who has a license will be grandfathered in. There'll be a sunset clause to make sure that anybody who cannot meet the standards that you're proposing now has time to meet them. And after that point, only those that meet them would be allowed to use the testing, or we would accept the testing for their license. So that's the only comment I can make about that. We would not let you break the law. You can recommend anything, but as I told you earlier, when this thing gets when you finish with it, whenever that is, it's going to go be taken care of by our two very able attorneys, two ladies who do a very good job at not missing a dot, an I, a comma, or anything else. And even to the point of obsessing with me over the use of the Oxford comma. They make sure we do everything properly. And if there has to be any changes to that, they will make those changes. We'll send it back to you all for approval. And at that point, it would go to the board. Remember that we are not a rule-making body. You are recommending rules. We will make sure they don't break any laws. If a law change is required, we would make those recommendations to you to see if you want to undertake them. But ultimately, the board makes the rules, and we would not send anything up to them until this process is complete at this level and this committee is satisfied with what you want to recommend. Does anybody have any questions about that? And if I've said anything wrong, please correct me, Ms. Wilton.
You have not said anything wrong.
Thank y'all.
Would it be appropriate for us we would have to take a motion and vote on each section so that way we'll know where we stopped?
Yeah, I would say start with subchapter B is section 3505 is the first one. And you could take that entire paragraph and make a decision if you want to accept it like it's submitted on the screen. It's showing right now. It's this section right here that I'm circling with my pointer. Can you see that?
Yeah, and the changes that are suggested will be in red.
Was to delete everything that's in red. 5. Section 3505.
Yes.
Dr. Van, could you make it
3505.
Can you?
I'm sorry, what?
Can you enlarge it? Just hit the plus sign and make it bigger?
Let me see what I can do.
To the left, to the left.
No, to the left, to the left.
At the top.
Center of the page. No. Above the T in draft. Whoops.
Hang on. Okay, so I closed the window, so let me come back.
Sorry.
That's okay. Now I've lost the document. Let me see if I can find the document again. I've closed. Hang on, let me find it. Let me get the document up again. I'm trying to answer everybody's concerns that they can't find the minutes. I'm sending emails back and forth to them right now, but let me see if I can get that for you.
I wonder why you're doing that. I wonder, could we retroactively?
Okay, this is the biggest it can be. Let me see if I can get it for you now.
While you're doing that, I'm just throwing this out. Could we retroactively today vote to approve the changes?
Not the same. Some of the people that voted last time are not here.
Who?
Morteza's not here tonight. He was last time.
But we still have a quorum without him, and he voted for it the first time. I'm just saying, as a point of order, could we just say that the committee would like to vote to approve someone could move to approve the changes in subchapter A, rather than going back and amending the minutes? Could we just do it going forward?
Excuse me, I was able to pull up the YouTube link from July 15th at around the second hour, 4 minutes and 40 seconds. The roll call vote was moved by Angela. It was seconded by Shannon, and there was one no vote by Michelle.
There you go. You can amend the minutes right now.
Do we have a motion to amend the minutes?
I move that we amend the minutes to amend the minutes to under the rules task force section of the minutes, that it was moved by Angela Foley and seconded by Shannon Skenna, that the changes to the edits to subchapter A be approved. And there was one, we called a vote, and there was one no vote. That was Ashley Ware.
One abstention.
One abstention, and all other members present, the vote carried with one abstention. How about that?
The abstention was Michelle Warner, not Ashley Ware.
Oh. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. The abstention was, okay, so that, do I have to make that again, that motion again?
No, we'll get the,
I mean, really, the minutes only have to reflect if it passed or failed. So you don't even have to put.
Who abstained?
Correct.
Okay, so the motion is that we amend the minutes to reflect that the changes that we reviewed in subchapter A be accepted. And the motion was seconded, made by Angela Foley, seconded by Shannon Skenna, and the motion carried.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay.
so that's my motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, seconded by Larry. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed to the motion to change the minutes, say no. Motion carries. Okay, so now we're back to subchapter B, section 3505. Y'all look at what's written in red. There's the strikeout, and it's just descriptors, and it's been replaced by those three: MLS, MLSC, and MLT.
I've got one further correction on subchapter A. I don't know if it's appropriate to consider it now or later.
Sure, go ahead.
But
wait, whoa. We accepted and passed subchapter A. Okay.
Can I make a motion to?
You can move to reconsider subchapter A. Yes, you can.
I would like to.
What about this? Because I have a feeling once we get all the way through the document, there's going to be more things that we want to reconsider.
Okay.
So, you know, once we get a final, this is what we think looks good. How about at that point go, okay, one final overview of the whole document to tweak it.
Okay, just in case I forget, under the section laboratory specialty.
And this is just the definitions, is all A is.
Right, but under laboratory specialty, we say for, at one point, we use the term specialist. For the category of clinical laboratory scientist specialist, and elsewhere we change that to MLS-C.
Gotcha. So it's just not consistency in our terminology.
Right.
We're probably gonna catch some more of those.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the legislature calls that a technical amendment and it's usually just done by consent, but you're right, we'll probably catch a few of those before it's all over with.
So Larry, in subchapter A, there was a place where we missed that?
Yeah, under the definitions, under
Right.
laboratory specialty, when we define what a laboratory
Oh, I
specialty.
see. Okay, all right. I see.
All righty, so is there any discussion on set paragraph 3505, 3505, or do we have a motion to
Is
accept
that big
changes?
enough for you, Angela, to see?
That's much better. Thank you so much. You know, I have old eyes, Dr. Van.
They make glasses for that? Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's not go there, okay?
Do we have a vote to approve this section as it is, or is there a discussion?
I motion to approve the section as it is. This is Beverly.
Okay, any second?
I second. This is Jessica.
What, you're talking about the whole, oh, just 3505. Oh, my goodness.
Just
Okay.
paragraph 3505, just that section, 3505.
Do we have to do each section separately under subchapter B?
Well,
Or
I
could we-
thought that would be a way of going through without, and taking it in small bites instead of trying to
Okay,
swallow the whole
okay,
elephant.
Okay.
But if you want to move the whole elephant, go right ahead.
No, that's fine.
Let's do
I'm
this.
sorry.
Let's do this, and there's not that many, and we'll, because once they're approved, we'll be done with that
Okay, I
section,
just
and we'll
have
have a
to, I'm
starting.
sorry. Okay,
point.
motion by whom and second by whom? Just give me that. I'll get it.
Beverly and Jessica.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor of accepting section 3505 as with changes as presented, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, the next section is a good bit longer. It's section 3507. The changes there are in red, there are strikeouts. And it goes on for a couple of pages. Angela, do you want to guide us through that?
Well, number 4 was struck out because, and Patsy, everybody else who's on the task force, because we just felt like this wasn't a needed rule anymore. It never really made sense from the beginning. We all can read it.
Does anyone have any questions about this section? I'm sure everyone's already read all of it.
That at the time this was done, it might have had something to do with respiratory therapists doing blood gases, or maybe a perfusionist, but the respiratory
I don't know what
therapist.
it,
Go
They're
ahead.
already
in
listed.
1994, in 94, we didn't have any bedside testing.
Right.
No, this was, well, there were things going on in the operating room. I think like blood gases and things, maybe possibly.
Oh, that's in number 6.
Oh, there's the perfusionist. Okay, so we just felt like this wasn't a necessary rule.
Okay. And same thing for number 7.
Number 7.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
And then the previous section 9, which is now 7, just took out some redundant stuff.
Language.
Well,
We just simplified
Yeah.
it. I mean, that's basically what it was saying. If you are a phlebotomist or acting as a phlebotomist and you are under the direction and on-site supervision of a physician licensed by the board, you do not need a license. Well, phlebotomists, they are licensed.
This is
but you don't need a license.
because y'all, this
Phlebotomist does not need a license if they're acting under the direction of a licensed physician. So
whole
phlebotomists that are,
section, y'all, is exceptions.
right,
I'm
exceptions to
sorry.
license.
This whole section is exceptions. Yes. All right, and that's the only changes except for renumbering to this section. Is there any discussion?
I move to accept the changes as submitted. This is Beverly.
Michelle seconds.
Michelle. That was Beverly, motion by Beverly and second by Michelle.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those in
Aye.
favor of accepting this
Aye.
section?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? My motion carries. The next section is 3509. It's qualifications for licensure and certification. This will be on page 7, 8, 9. This is the long part.
Ms. Gay, I
Yes, sir.
just need, before we take this, just so we finish that, before we take up this next section, I just need to read a few comments, one comment into, we've had this twice, but this comment is from Mark Berenbaum. Do clear qualified, high complexity clinical laboratory directors need to be licensed as a CLS generalist or a CLS categorical? And that was the comment. We thank the commenter, and we will continue to monitor them and bring them all into the record at the end of the meeting.
Okay. On to section 3509, the changes for qualifications for licensure and certification. Do y'all have some comment and discussion on this?
We need to go up to the top of 7. I think, Dr. Van, yes. Okay, just so you could make sense.
It's the bottom of page 7. Right there,
It starts at
3509.
3509, and then there's
A little piece up there.
two
Yes.
lines right here,
Requirements.
and then it
for
comes down
licensure.
here.
They shall have completed or passed. What does it say up there?
Okay, to be eligible for licensure as a clinical medical laboratory scientist, an applicant, in addition to satisfaction of the procedural requirements for licensure under this chapter, shall have successfully completed a nationally recognized certification examination administered by a nationally accredited agency approved by the board. And we scratched out some of that, and then it moves on to, it drops out all of these and leaves it as a nationally accredited agency. And then the clinical, and then it says medical laboratory scientist, or categorical, medical laboratory categorical, to be eligible for a license as a clinical medical laboratory scientist categorical. An applicant, in addition to satisfaction of procedural requirements for licensure in this chapter, shall possess a baccalaureate or more advanced degree from an accredited college or university with a major in one of the chemical, physical, or biological sciences, and have successfully completed and approved nationally recognized certification examination for such clinical laboratory personnel classifications as developed and administered by one of the following organizations. And they're listed right there. And then other qualifying other organizations approved by the board. And then medical laboratory scientist technician, now changed to medical laboratory technician, to be eligible for licensure as a clinical medical laboratory technician. All applicant, in addition to satisfaction of the procedural requirement for licensure under this chapter, shall have successfully completed a nationally recognized certification examination administered by a nationally accredited agency approved by the board.
So there's a typo there. It should say
Yeah,
nationally.
we can correct those typos.
Yeah.
We
it
can
just should
correct
say
those typos.
nationally. Yeah, that's okay.
The issue is, what do you want to prove the intention of what you're saying? And then it moves on to other things. And then but why don't we handle all of A right now? And then we can do B, and then we can do C.
Okay. Do I have a motion for us for anyone to
I motion
approve
to
section?
approve, yes, I motion to approve 3509, section A as written. This is Beverly.
All right, Beverly, any second?
I'll second. Shannon.
The motion has been made to accept section A of part 3509. All those in favor say aye.
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 All- Any opposed? Motion carries. We're going to move on to section B of 3509.
May
we
I
have a
ask a
mo-
question?
Sure.
I mean, it's just a question, just for clarification for myself. When we say by the board, are we talking about LSBME?
Yes,
Okay,
because you are not the board, you are the advisory committee. The
I
board is
understand.
the LSBME.
I was just clarifying.
No problem. And we probably should editorialize in the future that capitalized board, so it's clear. But yes, thank you. That's what it means. And thank you for pointing that out, Michelle.
All right, so now section B. Do we have a motion to approve the edits in section B?
Well, didn't we approve each one individually already?
No, we did
No.
A.
And
Oh,
now
I'm
we're doing
sorry.
B,
Okay,
and then,
okay.
because nobody can see them, since we enlarged it, we can't show it all at the same time.
All right, you can make it smaller if you want. I actually have my own printed copy that I can read. You can make it smaller.
Angela, you're a pip, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Oh, no.
Do we have a motion for section B or any discussion?
Okay, I just want clarification on the wording before. Let me find it. The wording in this one's a little bit different. And I'm sure there's a reason for that, but
All we've done in section B is change the name to medical lab scientist from clinical, categorical instead of specialist, and then clarified the name changes because some of these examination people below have changed their name. And so
Shannon
we've
is
updated.
correct, if I can say that. Shannon is very.
yeah, we say
strict.
nationally recognized certification examination administered by a nationally accredited agency. And then it's not worded like that for categorical.
And
It
that's
just says
true.
nationally recognized certification examination.
And
So is
you're
that on
right.
purpose?
It was on purpose.
I thought so.
Because it's possible that for some of these categoricals, there may not be an accredited national certification, an accredited national certifying agency, nationally accredited. So to have an organization, an accreditation agency to be nationally, or certifying agency to be nationally accredited, there are a lot of hoops that they jump through to get that accreditation. So because we didn't want to eliminate the possibility of certain categorical people in certain specialties being able to get a license. We left it open a little bit so that they could be approved by the board as needed. Does that make sense?
Yes, I knew we had done it for a reason. Because the terminology was a little bit different, I just wanted to clarify it
And
before we
it's good
moved
that you
on.
pointed that out. So you can have a nationally recognized certification examination, and the agency that is providing that exam may not be nationally accredited. So there are 2 or 3 at least accrediting agencies for certifying agencies. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
okay.
What if it said something like, if an exam is available, if no other exam is available?
Where would you put
Part
that?
of it was we were looking at the board certifications that are approved by CMS for laboratory directors for CLIA. We wanted to ensure that in the categorical that we still allowed, or that the board still allowed those certifications that you can take to be a laboratory director for high complexity.
Well, we don't license lab directors.
I know, but they're still testing. Most of them are
But
also.
what I'm saying, if there is a certification that is nationally accredited, that's the one they should take. If there's not one available in that category, that's a different thing.
Right, which I think are the ones that are listed.
In our document, or you mean in CLIA?
Both.
Alexa?
Both, but in our document, yes, or the
So-
document here.
So have we listed all of the ones that CLIA accepts?
I believe that we matched those when we were looking at these, but I can go back and check that.
What about NRCC? I know that's accepted by CLIA.
Well, that's under AACC.
No, it's a separate total. What's under AACC is American Board of Clinical Chemistry, ABCC. That's but
that's their exam?
Well, it's their exam, just like the Board of Registry is ASCP's exam.
That's what I mean. That's
Yeah,
what I said.
technically they're separate entities, but NRCC is supported by not only AACC, but American Chemical Society, and there's a whole bunch of others. So the NRCC exam, you can take it with a master's degree, and
You're making
ABCC you can't, and they're not affiliated together.
You're making me think that NRCC is not a clinical exam. And if it's not a clinical exam, we shouldn't be taking it.
No, it's a clinical exam for the NRCC clinical chemistry test. I'm just saying, it's an agency that has clinical chemistry, toxicology, environmental certifications, some other certifications.
Okay, well, then we probably need to add that one.
Yes, I know that CLIA accepts them for laboratory director.
Okay, we could add them, and that's fine. I mean, Dr. Van, I guess you could type that in right now. I don't know, but the other thing.
Add, what do you want to add?
agency,
NRCC?
What about NRC?
National
Add-
Registry of Certified
Registry.
Chemists.
Certified?
National Registry of Certified Chemists.
See, that makes me think it's not clinical. That worries me.
Yeah,
Well,
I agree.
No,
Maybe
they,
we
you
should-
have to look.
maybe we-
It depends what specialty or category you get your NRCC license in.
Okay, Dr. Van, would you go down to the bottom of this column on the left? You see where it says other certifying organizations approved by the board? That's why we put that in there. So if there's an agency that feels like, they need to be added, I guess they can be looked at individually.
I
Or-
only brought it up to answer the question, are all the CLIA certifications in CLIA
Okay, all right.
certifications for laboratory director,
And
are they all
Alexa,
included?
is
And
NRCC in the CLIA list?
It is, but only for, you have to be PhD or higher. You can't for masters.
I don't want to list it.
So I think we had conversation about this, and that was the ones that you wanted to
Leave under the purview of the board.
Yes, because
you evaluate each one with
Right.
that individual person. So
There
see,
are probably so few of those people, right?
no, I get NRCCs. I do, but they're usually like toxicologists or something like that. So I don't want to list the whole organization, because that means that you're going to take any
Yes.
person that passes any of them. And
What-
they're,
I have a question. What if you go back to section number 2, where it says have successfully completed and approved nationally recognized, and insert the word clinical certification exam. That would
Okay.
take out the environmentalist.
Sounds like a winning document.
So then you could go ahead and add the NRCC if it's a clinical, is that right, Patsy?
I still don't think you need to put it in, because you've got other certifying organizations. I think that leads to confusion, because if we can say NRCC toxicologist, that's approved. But if it's NRC chemist, a chemist that works in another field, in petroleum company or something, then no, those are different tests. So I'd rather not put the organization and leave it down to other certifying organizations. But I don't mind. I like the idea of the clinical certification exam. I think that makes it clearer.
Yeah, okay. So we can just delete what you added, Dr. Van, I'm sorry.
No problem.
And just put clinical up in the part that Gay suggested.
He already did.
I
He
already did right here.
Perfect. Okay. I think that's good. I think it's okay like it is now.
would it be appropriate to include a statement about any certifications approved by CLIA for the position of laboratory director?
We don't license laboratory directors.
But we're talking about those people being eligible to be categorical. So the question is, in order to be a laboratory director, you have to be licensed under one of our categories.
so
Right.
those are going to be the ones that they're looking at under the other certifying organization.
Right, right.
If you are one of the other certifying and you meet the education, experience, and board certification requirements, you're going to get the categoric license.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it'd be appropriate to let people know that you have to be approved by CLIA to be a laboratory director in order to be eligible for the laboratory scientist categorical license in Louisiana.
I think we should let Alexa take care of that.
Okay, that's fine.
Thanks.
All right, before
that
you vote
little
on
G-
section B, before
Wait,
you
that
vote on
little
section,
G needs to go away.
I'll make sure it goes away, Angela, don't worry.
Okay.
Before you vote on section B, I need to read a comment and we thank it's for the comments. It is from David Fishman. He would urge the committee to allow public a reasonable opportunity to see the proposed rule changes and use this meeting as an opportunity to discuss the task force's suggested revisions instead of taking formal action, especially subsection by subsection. Process is important here. I think we've addressed that earlier. Thank you very much for your comment. And you can move on to taking a vote on B.
I move to accept section B as written with the recommended changes.
And this is Beverly made the motion. Do we have a second?
Michelle seconds.
All those in favor of taking section B with the amendment is of the edit, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried.
Before we go
All right,
any
next.
further, can I go back to 3507? I didn't get to vote on that. I had stepped away.
You have to make a
Okay.
motion to reconsider, and the board and the committee members would have to take a vote, and that passed successfully.
I need to ask that.
You need to move to reconsider, get a second, and it has to be voted upon.
Okay, I move to reconsider 3507.
Is there a second? If there's no second, the motion dies.
Okay.
All right. All right, next would be section C. Right off, we need to not mark out the C. Because we need to keep it. And it is just the section of medical laboratory technician. There was some name changes and mostly just generalizing it as far as the certifications. Any question or discussions? There's a bit of it on the next page.
This is Michelle, and I move that it be accepted as corrected.
Do we have a second?
Second, Larry.
All those in favor of accepting section C with edits as proposed, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, I have another public comment I need to read in. The wording below is a suggestion for a format. This comes from Tammy Shalou. Medical laboratory technician to be eligible for licensure as a medical laboratory technician and applicant, in addition to the satisfaction of the procedural requirements for licensure under this chapter, shall have successfully completed and approved nationally recognized certification examination for such clinical laboratory personnel classification as developed and administered by one of the following organizations or its successor, ASCP, AMT, AAB, or other certifying organizations approved by the board. We thank Ms. Shalou for her comments and we move on.
All right, next will be section D, the cytotechnologist. Again, it's kind of standardizing the descriptor. Is there any comment or discussion here?
I move to accept this changes as written under category under section D. This is Beverly.
All right, Beverly made a motion. Any second?
I'll second.
Shannon, second. All those in favor of the motion with the edits as presented, say aye.
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 I don't,
Aye.
Ms. Wilson, are there any opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Wilson, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
For the public meeting where we are, do we need to be all seeing ourselves, or does it matter that we are or not?
It does not. You do not. A voice vote is being taken by all of you under the governor's emergency declaration and under Act 302 that put his proclamation into place and became law. This Zoom meeting is being conducted properly by those rules and regulations, and you're all present. You're all on camera for the public, for myself and the public to view, and you're taking voice votes, so that's sufficient.
Should we
Okay,
do a
well-
roll call vote?
You don't have to do a roll call vote on everything, but if you feel that makes you more comfortable, you are allowed to do that.
Because I know I didn't vote on one and then I couldn't go back. So I didn't know
But
if maybe we should start doing that.
If you would make yourself visible, I would not have held a vote while you weren't in the picture, because you were
Okay.
visible earlier. I mean, whatever y'all want to do, but that's what I'm looking at. I'm watching the boxes pop to see who is speaking. But if somebody leaves the meeting, if you're not here, I don't know it.
I don't want to take a roll vote on every one of these things. I guess if he feels like it's a bigger discussion or more of an issue, maybe we can decide at that time to take a roll vote. But I don't recommend that we take a roll vote on every one of these sections.
I mean, the other option is if
And
you
this
have
is,
to leave the meeting temporarily, just ask that a vote not be called until you come back, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, we can't know that you're not there if we don't see you. Okay.
also, this is just a work in progress. This is not the final document. It may not look anything like the final document. We're just trying to get to a final document that doesn't have red lines on it so that it can be reviewed again. So this is just bringing us to a point where we'll have something to work on and present. Okay, we'll move on. The next section is section E, laboratory assistant. Again, it's just the same clarification. No, this one, y'all look over section E. It took out a lot of stuff that was maybe pertinent in 1994, but
Yeah,
not
right.
today.
It had a list of wave testing and all kind. It was unnecessary.
Yeah, we can't do that list again.
No.
Can't.
Oh, it would go on for pages and pages and pages, right?
Yeah, the wave listing
And
is
it would be
now and it's constantly changing. So I think as long as it's just wave testing, you kind of cover it.
And again, this is eligibility for qualifications for licensure. This is not about the renewal of license. This is the qualifications.
Right.
And adding that nationally, at the time that this law was passed and the rules were made, there was no laboratory assistant examination, but there are some now. So that's why we added that, you know, if they go to a school or they meet the qualifications to sit for one of these exams that now currently exist, then, you know, that's good.
I'd like to move that it be accepted as revised. Ms. Michelle.
Michelle made the motion. Is there a second?
Second, Yolanda.
All those in favor of accepting section E with the changes as submitted, vote by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, sir.
we have another public comment from Ms. Shalou. The wording below would follow the same format for categorical. And she says the medical laboratory scientist to be eligible for a license as a medical laboratory scientist, an applicant in addition to satisfaction of the procedural requirements for license of this chapter, they have successfully completed and approved nationally recognized certification exam for such clinical laboratory personnel as developed and administered by one of the following organizations or their successor organizations. And it lists ASCP, AMT, AAB, and other certifying organizations approved by the board. We thank Ms. Shalou for her comments, and you can proceed, ma'am.
Thank you. Next, we're going to section F, phlebotomist.
I've got a general question.
Okay.
Do we want to replace clinical laboratory scientists or clinical laboratory science with medical laboratory science everywhere in the document?
I think yes.
I think it's a
Okay.
good point.
Because I think under laboratory assistants, it said basic practice of clinical laboratory science.
It's happened throughout this document over and over again.
Right.
Flip back and forth. We just need to clean that up.
We can clean that up. Thank you for pointing it out to us, and we will make sure that gets done.
Okay.
I have a question under this where it says phlebotomist to be eligible for permit as a phlebotomist. Shouldn't that be licensed?
It's
Well-
actually not a license. It is a permit. And I think
Okay.
that, yeah. I don't know why that is. And we call it them licensed, but technically it's a permit.
Okay.
If you want to change it to a license and you're recommending
We
doing
could.
it, that is what we're doing here.
Everybody
So-
calls it a license.
They do.
Then I think it'd be best if we're changing to go ahead and change it now.
Okay,
Yeah.
I agree.
So now where is that?
Right, second line under permit.
Okay, just look where I'm hot. Look where my cursor is flashing. Angela, can
Okay.
you see it?
Yes. Okay. Yes, definitely. I didn't know we could just do that with a strike of a pen.
Well, these are the rules that ultimately, when you finish with them, you will propose to the board.
Right.
Then the board goes into the rulemaking process,
Yes. I
and you
understand.
may want to do that. The board may say, we don't want that. But this is what you are suggesting to the board to bring up our nomenclature and our taxonomy to the modern era. This
Right.
is a 20-year-old document and it needs to be improved.
I agree wholeheartedly. Okay.
There's no legal ramifications or changes, I mean, by saying permit versus license for someone, is it?
Well, there is. A permit is something that can be revoked without due process. A license is something that accrues property rights. And Ms. Wilton, I'm straying out of gynecology into law, so jump in if I step on some wrong part of my anatomy. But that would have due process rights that a permit would not.
That's generally correct. Due process would apply in the permitting permitting arena as well, there are some heightened interests that apply to a license. It has a little bit more of a heightened scrutiny if you affect someone's license versus a permit. It's a matter of degree. But as Dr. Collada referred to it, this really is a terminology or a semantics issue as relates to this particular section. So I think if you think it makes more sense to call it one thing versus another, that you would be fine from a legal standpoint.
Okay. Any other discussions here? Do we have a motion to take the phlebotomist section F with the notes as written and the change of permit to license?
I'll make a motion, Shannon.
All right, Shannon motion. Do I have a second?
It's Michelle, I
I'll sec-
second.
Motion has been made by Shannon to accept the changes that have been suggested here with the also permit to license, and seconded by Michelle. Do all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Madam Chairman, I have another comment from Ms. Shalou. Her comment is, it looks like the section in the rules for licensure certification without examination has been removed. Will reciprocity be removed? Will this require someone licensed in another state who moves to Louisiana to sit for another examination? We thank her for her comments, and you can proceed.
The next section is section 3511 on page 11. And that has all been stricken. Is there any discussion to this section?
That had to do with grandfathering in, what you have to do when you initiate a new law and new rules, and that doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
Okay, what was the comment that had to do with that, Dr. Van, that you just read?
The comment says, it looks like this section in the rule for licensure certification without examination has been removed. Will reciprocity be removed? Will this require someone licensed in another state who moves to Louisiana to sit for another examination? And we thank her for her comments.
Okay.
I would just like to comment that we've never had our own examination. The state of Louisiana. Anyway, okay.
All right, so you're at 3511, Madam Chair.
Do I have a motion to accept the changes and deletion of the section 3511 as presented? A motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the changes, the revisions as indicated.
I'll second it, Shannon.
Shannon. Have a motion by Angela and second by Shannon. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
Madam Chairman, I have another comment from Ms. Shalou. Isn't the temporary license in the statute? Instead of removing temporary license, you could require that the individual with a temporary license perform testing under supervision as required for a license and training. And again, we thank her for her comments. And I have another comment by Mr. Mark Birnbaum. License section 3511, licensure of certification without examination, is deleted in the proposed rule changes. However, it is required in statute. You cannot do this without changing the statute. And as we commented earlier, if statutory requirements need to be met, we will come back to you and we'll tell you what the options are. And we'll do that in due course. But remember that this is a recommendation to the board. It is not the final document that the board will be reviewing. Thank you very much for your comments.
The next section is section 3513, reciprocity. It's been removed. Is there any discussion?
Does anybody know, do any of the states have, I know California's going to accepting this. Florida still requires separate Florida issued exam?
No,
No?
They
No
don't.
exam, no state exam.
Okay,
Tennessee doesn't have a state exam either. They all base it on national exams.
so anybody that moves from out of state would have had a national
If they
Well,
were
we don't
licensed,
know.
then they just apply here, and if they're certified, they get licensed.
right.
They don't take another test if they already had it.
Do I have a motion to accept the changes to 3513 as presented?
I'll make the motion, Larry.
I
Second.
second. Who was that? Who said second?
Looks to me like it was a motion by Larry and second by Angela. Was that you, Angela?
Okay, all right. I thought I heard someone else second. That's fine. That's good. We're good.
You don't have to.
No, it's
Okay, so
I didn't want to take someone else's second away. It's great. It's fine.
the motion by Larry, second by Angela. All those in favor of the changes made to section 3513 as presented, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Next, we'll go to section 3515, the trainee license.
I have a question in this one.
Okay.
There's been a discussion about changing the calendar year for MedTech or for MLSs. Do we need to also, in that letter C, where it talks about the calendar year?
What are you talking about? Change has been changed?
Well, it's not been changed. There's just been a discussion about MLSs not doing all theirs December 31st, that there was a discussion, I think, several meetings ago that we were going to maybe change the renewal dates. Maybe I misheard it.
No, ma'am, you did recall that discussion properly, but nobody ever made a decision to do anything. Y'all were going to think about it. Y'all were concerned, my recollection is, about the managers around the state and the difficulty that might bring to them. Nobody gave any more report. If y'all want to bring it up now, that's a fine time to do it. But right now, unless again, that can be a more global discussion. We can change all of the licensure periods whenever we get to it. But again, this as it is would be what we're doing now, unless you recommend that we change it.
I just was bringing it up that this holds you down to a calendar year of January 1st through December 31st. And could we make it more generic so it would follow in with our licensure if we change the licensure?
You can say the licensure period will be whatever is determined by the board to be applicable to all clinical laboratory personnel. You can do something like that.
I think that would be a wise decision. That way we would not have to revisit this later.
I agree, Michelle. So how does the verbiage need to be changed?
Let's let Dr. Van type and see.
Yeah.
I'm a lousy typist, so forgive me. If I could type, I'd be dangerous. So licensure renewal period will be established. I misspelled that, but I'll fix it. By the board in concert with the CLP Advisory Committee and be standard with all other classes of licensing. I could put consistent. I could put consistent there.
So you need to put renewal first, maybe. Actually, wait, can I make a suggestion? If you leave
Yeah.
renewal and say a trainee's license issued in accordance with these regs shall be effective for a calendar year or for the calendar year period established by the board. So so you could leave that, just put for the
What?
calendar year.
Okay, you could delete that, and that's fine with me. We'll just, if that's what you want, we're gonna make it happen for you. Hold
Well,
on a
I mean,
minute.
I don't know. I have to see it. Cut.
I'm trying to find it. Hold on.
Cut is in the bottom little thing right there at the top. See the scissors at the top? There you go.
But he has to strike.
Thank
through.
you.
Yeah, if you hit
That's-
cut, it does it.
Okay,
Effective for the calendar year or the calendar period, the calendar year established by the board.
Should you
So
say licensure year? Because technically a calendar year is January to
calendar.
December.
Okay.
So maybe a
for the
licensure year
licensure
as
year, Or just
established?
for the year, yeah, okay, licensure year, yeah. Established, and just copy and paste everything you have up there by the board.
okay. All right.
So it's saying it twice, or do you want that first part deleted?
Yeah, it needs to be. So renewal's got to go first. Renewal and everything to the end of by the board goes first. If you cut, copy, all that to the board, established by the board.
Dr. Claude,
you-
I think if you just
yeah.
remove what you typed in earlier, I think it will make sense.
All right, so I'll cut all of this. We want to delete all of that, okay?
Yeah. But you have, yes, but you have to
And-
put renew, yes.
I think when he takes
Yeah.
that out there, now, does that not? A trainee's license?
You don't need renewal. Well, licensure period renewal.
Okay, well then just put that.
That
take
renewal
that
doesn't
out
make
too.
sense now.
Take that out.
The renewal was
Maybe-
in the original.
Yeah, take that out, yeah. Because we already have and may be renewed for
Yeah.
up to 3 additional years, provided the trainee remains enrolled in an approved school or training program. Okay.
All right,
I guess, y'all, does that make sense?
Should we let a person be a trainee for that long?
I was always wondering under what
I
circumstances.
think that's kind of ridiculous. 3 years,
Well, I guess,
and they're not supposed to report results. Their supervisor should be reporting their results.
well, how often can you renew a trainee license? I don't know. I didn't
Well,
know
it's
that.
3 years now. I'm saying, should we change it?
There could always be an exception, you know, that someone was in school and then was in a bad wreck. And if I was in a bad wreck, I would continue to keep my license up until I could
Oh,
get
yeah.
back.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be a special consideration. But,
It's not gonna happen often. Nobody's gonna hold a student for 3 years.
yeah. Well, a student doesn't need a trainee license.
Okay.
Yeah. These are people that are, most of them are working in a categorical kind of a position. And they want to learn that, you know, they've got the other qualifications to sit for an exam, but they don't have the ability they don't have clinical experience.
Clinical experience, right.
So But 3 years just
So this is
sounds
not,
ridiculous.
so this is not the ones that have graduated from med-tech school
No.
but hadn't passed their test yet.
No,
What
No.
license are they?
that's a temporary.
Well,
Those are
we've been rid of
But we're
temporary.
getting rid of temporary.
Remember, they're not gonna be there anymore.
Did we pass that already?
Nope, it's 3519.
Yeah, we didn't get to it yet.
You hadn't got to it yet.
Yeah, because if I remember, we kind of had two different scenarios under training now. We were going to get rid of temporary and kind of have two things. I mean, that meeting was
yeah.
a long time ago, but I think that's what we did.
It's coming up.
I mean, what is the requirement? Like if that's the situation to sit for a certain exam, you need X number of clinical hours. What's a general, number of hours that they would need to do that? A year?
Usually a year.
6 months, a year?
A year.
So you need at least a year. Extenuating circumstances extended to 2. I mean, 2 years.
Can we just leave it open and maybe renewed?
Forever?
No, I'm upon consideration by the board or something to where you leave it open for the possible exception.
Patsy, have you ever had a trainee that renewed for more than 3 years?
No, not more than 3. They can't.
So
I wouldn't think the hospital
How would you know? You catch, I mean, do you have anybody who's ever requested to be a trainee for longer than 4 years?
No.
But
Because
remember,
it says you can't, we won't give it to them because it says 3 years.
I understand you won't give it to them, but somebody could apply to renew again.
Oh, nobody's ever replied for that.
That's my question. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
I didn't understand. No, nobody ever has.
I mean, so the decision is either to leave it at 3 or to reduce it to 2, or I don't know. I mean, according to you, it rarely happens. I don't know why somebody would let anybody work as a trainee for that long, because they can't sign out results.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I wouldn't.
Comments from lab managers, lab people out there working? Gay?
if you're removing the temporary, so would the trainee license be the one that you would obtain? Let's say you're working while you're in clinicals and you sit for your board exam and you don't pass it. So you renew it once. So you have an entire year at that point to pass your board.
That's frightening.
Well,
but some people do get test anxieties.
Yeah, that does happen. People who can like meet the requirements to be a testing personnel, but don't pass the board the first time. You're saying you can renew that trainee license and work under the supervision of someone while you study again and sit. You have at that point, if you renew once, you have an entire calendar year from the renewal, wherever that falls in the calendar. If it ends up being July or December, you would have a year to.
That's way too long, I think, to let somebody, because in that, what we're doing right now is if they fail, they have 3 months to correct it. And we all on this task force agreed that that's too long to be working when you haven't passed your exam.
3 months or what? Wait,
3 months plus 3 months, it's 6 months. It's a long time.
But y'all, there could be a pandemic. There could be a pandemic that would screw up testing and not let them take their test.
I think that kind of
excuse me. We addressed that historically already. We recognized whether it was physicians graduating from medical school, respiratory therapists finishing, or other people. When the tests were not available during the initial portions of this pandemic, and CME was not available, we removed those temporarily. And as things are coming back, we're adding them back very slowly. So I don't think that that would be something you need to write in the rules. You want to give that flexibility to the big board to make those decisions. And my suggestion would be that you recognize that historically we've done that. We have said, for example, fingerprinting requirements for all licensing classes were waived because the state police was not doing
Yeah.
fingerprinting back in March of 2020.
Right.
So again, we make these exceptions along the way. And I think that's a procedural issue, not a rule issue, but you decide any way you want to handle it.
Yeah, I think the difference being it's something that affects across the board all individuals versus something that would affect a single individual for their own individual circumstances. Not saying that there shouldn't be flexibility for exceptions for a specific individual in a specific case, but if it's something global like a pandemic, the board would usually handle that.
Right. Well, it's just, I think the decision is, do you want somebody that's going to be that's qualified to take their certification exam to have 3 years to get certified? And if you put them under that trainee license, that's what's going to happen.
But
And I don't like that.
But this also covers people that are training in other disciplines that need a trainee license to be in there doing it, but they're technically qualifying. That training is part of their qualifying to sit for an exam. So they
Right,
probably need a longer, for that situation, you need a longer span of time.
Yeah, that's a different situation.
But we're lumping them together when we just do one trainee license and get rid of temporary.
Well, the temporary is in the law. So we
But
might
you
want to
already
consider that.
marked it out. It's already been
whoa.
proposed to be deleted.
We're not to the temporary yet. We didn't get there yet.
But
I
you're
don't-
right, Gay, it is marked out. And some of these, as Dr. Van said, some of these rule changes may not jive with the law, and that will have to be addressed. I mean, the law may have to be revisited.
Can I make a suggestion? According to the law, it says that if they are qualified, somebody that's just graduated, they're qualified to take the exam. They have until 6 weeks after the date of the next licensing examination. Well, see, that's old school. We don't do it that way anymore. So they actually can take their exam as soon as they finish their education. So I think we should keep the temporary permit and make a temporary permit last 6 weeks. Then we match the law and we don't have to fight it out in the legislature.
So how would that?
So the
how would that-
temporary would be for
6 weeks,
people that graduate and are waiting to take the exam or pass the exam. And
right?
the trainee would be for people that are doing it as part of their education to qualify to sit.
Right. That's two different things.
Right.
So we got to go back to C. Let's finish C and then we can move to 3519.
So
Okay.
we're gonna leave the 3 years for the trainee? We're gonna leave it at 3? Y'all think that's okay? I'm just asking.
Well, doesn't the 3 specify though that they have to be enrolled in an approved school or training program?
It does.
So are we going to take that out? I'm not sure who these people are.
I'm not either. Patsy, you.
They are, okay.
Like
There are
Histo?
people, okay, I'll tell you what they are. Like the people who do immunogenetics. They get a job in immunogenetics and they work, the hospital or the laboratory that's training them sends a letter to the board saying that this person is going to be training from this date to that date, at which time they will take their certification exam. Okay. So the person, it has to be somebody that's licensed, they need to be working under, and that is qualified in that area. And then that person works under them, cannot report results. They're supervised. And at the end of that period, they sit for their exam, and then their license is converted to which would now be a categorical. That's what these trainee licenses do.
Well, let me say one other thing. If a person wants to retrain and get certified, let's say they let their license lapse, it could also be that person. And I think we say they have to have at least 3 weeks of training in every section that they want to be licensed.
That is correct. So, but that's not a problem. I mean, they can get the trainee license, and believe me, they're not going to want to go more than 3 weeks in each category. They want to get a full salary.
Right.
Most of the time, they're not getting paid while they're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, I think the fact that it does say, provided they remain enrolled in an approved school or training program, which I assume would be a hospital-based training program, that doesn't mean they can just do 3 years. It means the program can take up to 3 years. So I think leave it as it is.
I'm okay with that.
what
Go ahead, Larry.
an MLS student in training that wants to work, they would get a trainee license, right, before they graduate?
Yeah.
Either that or a lab assistant license.
Okay.
If they get a lab assistant license, they can actually sign out results. If they get a trainee license, they can't.
They can't.
Right, Patsy?
That's correct. Most of them get lab assistants license, but some of them, there are students that have trainee licenses.
I think there should be some, I agree that 3 years seems long. I'd like to see some type of flexibility. And I guess we have it now because we say up to 3 additional years.
You know, this hasn't really created a problem for us, I don't think, in the past, right, Patsy? I mean,
No.
it's not really a problem. I think maybe we're just, haggling over something we don't need to. I mean, if you're a trainee, you're not signing up, you can't sign out results legally. Alexa, what do you think? She quit listening.
She
about the
left.
trainee.
No, I'm still here. I did not check out.
I mean,
I think the hospitals are going to get rid of somebody like that. I think the training program is going to get rid of somebody who is in it that long because they're lacking or whatever. If the hospital's willing to stand behind them or the training program and keep them in there, okay, fine. But I think at some point, I just don't think the hospitals or whoever's doing this training are going to let somebody go on and on and on for no reason. They've got too much other things to worry about.
Yeah.
I think 3 years is a lot, but I can say the last 7 years, I have not seen somebody with a trainee license for sure for that long, even whether it's public health or in like private labs where they're doing specialty testing, like when we're going in research that may be research and clinical. I don't see anybody, immunogenetics, any of it. I don't see anybody with a trainee license for that period. I've never, to my knowledge, run across that and sent it to the board asking if it was still valid. I think 3 years is a long time. I don't think that in practice, it's
Anybody does. I haven't seen one last that long.
I mean, renewing it 3 additional years means
That's
for 4 years.
four.
That's 4 years.
Hypothetically.
No, that's ridiculous.
So let's just
That's
put
never
for up to,
happened.
let's just put for up to 1 additional year. Is that right? And then that would be 2 years. Is that good enough?
I think that's better. Because like you say, something could happen that would delay them a few months and then they could get back to it or, and get their year.
That
of
MU
training.
Core training, does it last longer than 2 years?
No.
Okay, it doesn't last that long. at all.
Almost everyone I've ever seen is like a year.
Okay.
Because that's what the certification exam requires.
We would
Do we
require
have-
competency multiple times before that. So at that point, they would be waiting to pass a board certification because they would have to be deemed competent to be performing the test at that point. By
All right,
CLIA.
so it sounds to me like I'm sorry to cut you off. It looks to me like y'all are making the recommendation of changing up to 3 to up to 1 year. Is that the
Additional
only
year.
change?
Additional, yeah.
The 1 additional year. Is that the only change recommended in section 3515?
C.
Section C of 3515. Do we have anyone that would like to make a motion to accept section 3515 trainee license with the changes discussed? We're pushing our 90 minutes.
I move that we accept 3515 with the suggested changes.
I second. This is Beverly.
We have a motion by Angela, and a second by Beverly. All those in favor of accepting section 3515 with the changes discussed, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? Oops, excuse me. All those opposed? Motion carried. All
Madam
right,
Chairman?
next will be section.
Madam
Yes, sir.
Chairman, I have another comment
Yes.
from a Mark Berenbaum. His comment is, rather than remove a temporary license, section 1322A of the statute require those with a temporary license to engage in the practice of clinical laboratory science under supervision as is required for a licensee in training. A licensee in training is for individuals who have not fulfilled the educational requirements to take a licensing examination, section 1324A of the statute, but an individual with a temporary license has already fulfilled the education requirements to take a licensing examination, section 1322A of the statute. In addition, a trainee license can last up to 3 years, whereas the statute limits a temporary license to 6 weeks after the date of the training examination. I thank Mr. Birnbaum for another one of his comments. Madam Chair, you
Okay.
have the floor.
All right, section 3517, the topic returning practitioners or reinstatement of lapsed license, or we can get rid of that or certificate if we're not going to have certificate anymore for phlebotomist. Or what is a certificate? When's the certificate? When is that word appropriate?
Wait, I'm a little bit lost. Angela just called me and told me that her computer died and she's trying to get back on. So I missed what you said.
Okay. On section 3517, in the topic, returning practitioners or reinstatement of lapsed license or certificate, where are certificates? What certificate?
We don't have any certificates. I don't know. I
Then we
think
need
that
to
needs to
scratch
go.
that part.
That's astute. Yes, that needs to go.
We're at our 90 minutes. We're almost done though, so we're doing good. There was a question by the discussion group on part A, about how long do we think it is too long for somebody to be out before they have to go through all this training? 7 years or 10 years? What's your thoughts? It's paragraph A.
So now it's 10, is that it?
Yes.
Yes.
I think with the amount of rapid change in our field, we don't want to go any more than 7, and I really
Right.
would
I
bound down
agree,
to
I agree
5.
with that. I agree with that.
I would almost bump down to 5.
I would say 5.
And again, this is years without practice and that didn't keep up their license, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
People who haven't done continued education and
All
kept
that.
Exactly.
I agree with 5. I agree with Michelle.
Okay. Okay.
I'm telling y'all, I told my husband if I ever go into a coma, he'd better renew my license.
Yeah, that's the way I
Do
feel.
not let it lapse.
I tell my students that
When I
too.
wake up, I'll get my CEUs. I'll get those CEUs. The green section was blue on the screen here in the next. So we're changing that in section A where it says 10, we're going to change that to 5. And then in section B, the blue part, is that new terminology we added? I think so.
Right. Yeah, that's what we've been getting people that retrain to do. I mean, that can be changed. It's up. What do y'all think?
I think that's good. I think they need at least that.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
I left the meeting because my computer died. I didn't have it plugged in appropriately. Anyway, I'm on my phone. What are y'all talking about? Can you tell me?
The returning practitioner, we changed it to 5 years instead of 7 or 10.
Oh, right. Okay.
And then we're talking about the 3 weeks of full-time experience in the major disciplines. That's where we are now.
Okay. All right.
I do have a question. What if somebody wants to come back after they've been out for 5 years, but they only want to work in microbiology? Can we give them a specialist, a categorical license in just that with 3 weeks of experience, or do they need to do all of this? That's just a question that's come up.
Didn't we say the categorical would have to take a national certified categorical test?
True. So no. Okay.
All right, do we have anybody or any more discussion, or someone would like to make a recommendation, a motion to accept this as it's edited?
Well, wait. What did you just say, Patsy? Can you tell me what you just said again?
I just said that if somebody just wants to work in micro when they're going to come back, I've had this question asked to me. I only want to work in micro. Can I just do 3 weeks in micro and get a categorical license in micro? But like Michelle says, the actual wording in the categorical says that they have to have a categorical certification, and they would have a general certification.
Well, but there is a contradiction there, because you're going to let somebody get a full license as a generalist with just 3 weeks in every category, which means they could do micro, right? If they just retrain for 3 weeks, and then you're telling another. So you're talking about somebody who maybe had a generalist license before
Yes,
that wants to
Yeah.
come back and just work in micro?
right. But they don't
I
have
mean-
a categorical exam.
It would be somebody, I'm gonna say, who's a generalist. You work for 5 years, you're out for 5 years. So you work just in micro. You graduate, you get a job, you're just in micro. And then you're out for 5 years and you're like, okay, I want to come back and work in micro. Why do I have to retrain in everything because I'm a micro person? Is the situation.
I feel like the answer would be because you're reinstating a generalist license. You're not reinstating a categorical.
Categorical, yeah.
I agree.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, looking at it that way, I guess. Yeah. All right.
I've never let anybody do it.
All right, do we have a motion for this section, section 3517?
I move to accept 3517 with the changes that were recommended. Ms. Beverly.
All right, second.
I have a quick question. It says not applicable for phlebotomists. So what does that mean? They can't, if they lapse, they're done?
Good question.
Where does it say not applicable for?
C.
Paragraph C.
Oh, yeah, see that. Patsy, why'd we do that?
I don't
Or
know.
committee,
It was
why did
already
we do-
in there. We put that in there? It looks
It's
like we did.
blue. It's
Y'all
blue.
added it
Why?
because
I
you
don't
told
know.
me to.
I don't know. Oh, I don't know.
Really?
I don't have my own rules to look. Yeah.
Maybe y'all meant for the sentence to say, additional training not applicable for phlebotomists.
I would think you would want them to train if they've been out for 5 years.
Okay, so it's reinstatement of a lapsed license or certificate. So what do we do?
Certificate
for-
got deleted because we don't have that.
Okay, so with the phlebotomist, if their license has or certificate has lapsed for 5 years, how do they
Come back.
come back? I mean,
I don't
they're not
know.
going to rotate through all the different labs.
No.
So
That's
for
not-
phlebotomists, your requirements for phlebotomists are for them to have completed training and competency to sit for a board exam. So as long as they have a board exam, they can renew their license. I mean, they don't need a reinstatement. They would just be like renewing or.
No, not if they're out for 5 years. That would be a reinstatement. They can't renew.
Right, but to reinstate it, all they have to do is meet the criteria to be able to sit for a board exam and pass it. There's no time limit on it, is there?
But they've already done that because they already had a license.
Right. So is it
Well,
they for another board exam, like pass the test again if it's
I
been
guess
more
they
than 5 years?
could. Guess they could. I don't know what the requirements for those certification exams are, if they have to have recent experience to do that. I don't know.
I mean, do we want to say they would do a 3-week? Just like the MLS and MLT do 3 weeks in each area, they do 3 weeks
In
In
phlebotomy.
phlebotomy.
drawing, just a supervised 3-week.
I think
Trainee?
anybody that was a phlebotomist that retrained for 3 weeks would be fine.
Yeah.
I really
Think so.
do.
So maybe instead of not applicable, it would be applicable, but they just have 3 weeks of retraining, supervised retraining in phlebotomy.
I would, yeah.
Yeah, the same wording, we say for MLS or MLT, we would say for phlebotomist,
Phlebotomist, Just add it in there and don't
Yeah.
have
But
it.
training
that's
requires a
what we-
minimum of
that's
3
right.
weeks full-time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we should do. So after that sentence, just add for phlebotomists.
Isn't there some phlebotomists
Y'all
can,
look at,
some phlebotomists can draw blood under some circumstances, right, without a license?
Oh, all the
Yeah.
ones in hospitals or doctor's offices do not require a license.
But this is for returning practitioners or reinstatement of lapsed license or certificate. So what's your question, Larry? So
Well,
anybody,
I was just trying to imagine a scenario, say somebody that's licensed, then goes to work for a doctor's office for 15 years drawing blood, and then comes back to where they need a license. We would say they needed 3 weeks of training.
I would think
Well,
you would
but-
have to, just to be consistent across the board. You know, if you want the license back, do 3 weeks and prove, do a checklist, prove you can still do it.
and
Larry, there's
Yeah.
no way to know that the technology might change. There might be a different device that needs to be used and that kind of
True.
stuff.
yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a terrible burden, just to say you have to you have to retrain for 3 weeks. Is that a burden?
You're going to be competent. You're going to do competencies on these people anyways.
Yeah.
I think it's good because even with phlebotomy, like you said, look what's going on with the pandemic. We have different rules now. If someone came back today, we really got to tell them all our new rules. So I think 3 weeks full time is applicable for phlebotomy. New tubes,
have-
there may be new tubes that need to be drawn. You know, you don't know.
Mhm. You're right.
hey, y'all look at the last sentence in that blue section in section B. To practice in a single category, 3 weeks of reinstatement is required in that category.
Yeah, that would be what, yeah. Patsy, there it is.
But does this not go back to that microbiology discussion?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it seems like it.
I mean,
But then
that's
we
a
have to give them a
same-
different license, so we're not reinstating their old license. I think I think that's, if they want to reinstate, I think they have to reinstate as a generalist. I think we ought to take that out. I agree with Alexa.
Then we need to take that out.
I think so.
Okay, because that contradicted the conversation earlier.
So if you reinstate their generalist license and I go on site a year later, they could be in any specialty and there's no way I would have any way to know that it should only be micro.
Well, yeah, right. So you can't reinstate a generalist license with 3 weeks experience in one category. And we can't give them a categorical because they didn't take a categorical exam, like Michelle said. So I think we need to take that out.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. We must have had a lapse of concentration
judgment.
when we put that in. Yeah.
Yeah, take
but
that out.
Take that out. See, that's why we need everybody's eyes on this.
Yes.
But what are we
Okay.
doing for
Do we
phlebotomists?
have-
Because this doesn't make sense for the phlebotomists as it is.
He changed it on section C. Look at C.
I know. So we're gonna say for phlebotomists, retraining requires a maximum of 3 weeks full-time,
No, minimum.
a minimum, right? But you see, B says
Yes, and not
eligibility,
applicable.
wait a minute, eligibility for full licensure as a generalist. Maybe we should add that.
Well, that would be a generalist or a MLT or a
It's-
cytotechnician.
Well, I don't mean as a generalist. I don't know what you're saying. That, you're right. We're getting rid of the word generalist anyway.
Yeah.
I think that may have been why the to practice a single category was in there, was for the categorical license, but just maybe not. We didn't it wasn't worded.
Maybe that is why it was in there.
That's why
But we
that
need to make
was
it clear.
for that category license,
Yeah, if we're gonna do that, we need to say
that it's for that license.
for categorical license. And not say to practice in a single
Yeah,
category.
I can put that right there. I wouldn't put that behind eligibility
No.
for full licensure, categorical.
It would be
Where do you want to
I would
put
make
it?
a new sentence.
it would be a separate sentence like for MLS or MLT licenses. Then we'd have
Yes.
one
Should it be a
for
separate letter?
Categorical
for
licenses.
categorical.
A B
Maybe we want to make
for
it a separate
full.
letter.
Yeah, I think B for full, C for categorical, D for phlebotomy.
But each one of those needs to have the header eligibility for full licensure. If you're going
Right.
to put them under separate categories.
And then eligibility for categorical, eligibility for phlebotomists.
Is that what you wanted to say? Eligibility for full categorical?
Well, no, because then you got,
Yes.
what is eligibility for full licensure at the top? What does that mean? As an MLS? What, for what?
Full licensure was
MLS,
and
MLT,
MLS and MLT.
and Cytotech.
all specialties.
Well, that's where you put it at. MLS and MLT are right here.
And then your C will be eligibility for categorical. Because it's not full
What-
licensure, it's your
What do you want it to say? What do you have to do to be eligible for full licensure?
Well, that's at the top.
So-
C should just be eligibility for categorical license.
And that's it? Nothing else?
No, we
3
have to
weeks
say what it
in that
is.
category.
3 weeks?
Yeah. 3 weeks of retraining is required
Supervised.
in that category.
3 weeks of supervised.
Supervised
Supervisory
retraining, right.
In the appropriate category.
I was gonna say applicable, but I'll go with appropriate. Not that
No,
good at spelling
applicable's good.
appropriate. Okay,
I mean, you could technically put cytotech and phlebotomy in that same, would that fit with the same wording and put them all in one with applicable category? Or do they need to be separate?
Yeah, you could do categorical slash phlebotomist slash
keep it
Cyto-
separate. Keep it
Okay.
separate.
separate.
I would.
So under B, do we want to remove cytotechnologist?
Yes. Because,
Yeah.
because retraining in all areas is not appropriate for them. So it needs to be separate.
Because we took that 1 3-week out. So Cytotech would be separate.
So we're gonna make another category like F or something like that? or
Yeah, one
E?
for cytotechnology.
Okay, okay, so let's go back. Let's go back.
Would be E.
And what do we want to say for cytotechnology? Reinstate.
Where are you?
What do you want it to say?
Where are you typing?
I guess if we're doing categoricals at 3 weeks, we would do, I don't know, cytotechnology, geez.
Do we have anybody in here that's a
Dr.
cytotech?
Beverly?
Beverly, you need to help us here.
All right. Let me see how it reads. How are we going to want it to read for cytotechnology?
We want to know, no, my real question is how long, if somebody's been out of cytotechnology for 5 years, how long should they retrain under supervision?
Well, it's hard to pick a number, but you're saying a minimum of 3 weeks. That doesn't mean
Yes.
you're finished.
Right,
at
a
3 weeks.
minimum.
Yeah, because what if they have always done PAPs and they're just coming back to do PAPs, you know?
Yeah,
I think it's okay because you're putting a
Okay.
minimum, and then the people that employ them are going to decide when they're ready, right?
right. Yeah, okay. I think that's fine then.
How does that work? Is there a form? Is there like a checklist? They have to,
Oh, we have competencies for them. Yeah, we will have competencies for them, but like I said, if they've done PAPs for 20 years of their life and they're out 5 years, and yeah, even if Bethesda changed their classification, you know, you could still, again, but somebody's going to be watching them. So I think a minimum of 3 weeks is okay.
Okay, great.
Do we want to specify, like we do under MLS and MLT, this supervision must be limited? Well, no, the sentence before that, supervisory training must be under the direct supervision of, do we want to specify?
A licensed cytotechnologist.
I think it was the sentence before that.
Yeah, the sentence before it.
Be under the direct supervision of a licensed cytotechnologist.
So you don't want the supervision must be. Okay. Okay.
Now, under C, do we want a similar statement for categorical as to?
yeah, I would think so.
Oh, yeah.
I think C needs to say eligibility for categorical, not full licensure.
Well, it's full licensure under categorical, right? And isn't it considered full temporary or trainee?
Yeah. Full licensure as a,
Categorical.
yeah,
Yeah.
categorical.
It says dash categorical.
Yes.
What do you want it to say?
Supervisory retraining must be under the direct supervision of, who do we want to say?
Categorical supervisor.
A licensed MLS, a MLS categorical.
MLS or MLS specific categorical, specific to that category.
Right.
Isn't that what we have above for as either?
An MLS, or an MLSC, an MLS or MLSC, right?
In
Right.
that specific category.
Appropriate, is that the word we use?
Yes,
before?
appropriate MLSC.
In
Well-
the appropriate category.
Or do we want to use the sentence we use above? This supervision must be limited to the scope of practice defined by the license of the supervisor.
That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically saying it has to be by somebody licensed to practice whatever specialty, scope, what.
They're retraining them in, I think.
Yeah,
Right.
that works. That works.
That
too.
works.
I think instead of supervisory training must be under direct supervision of yada, yada, you use that sentence instead. This supervision.
Okay, so you want to take this out. And leave that in, is that correct? Okay, done.
Okay, I was muted, so y'all couldn't hear me. I was wondering why nobody was listening. I just feel like it should say B. eligibility for full licensure. And under there, you should have 1, 2, 3, like one would be, you know what I'm saying? It would be cleaner if you listed them all separately, right? Yeah, do y'all not agree? I don't know. You don't care.
Let me make a note that we'll just try and clean this up to make it more, this will be the kind of stuff that our lawyers do in drafting the kind of rules. But yes, I'll put to clean up.
The formatting of this, you know, I
Mhm.
just.
Yeah, I agree, Angela,
Okay, we'll
Because
do
they're
it.
all full licenses,
because
just in different
yeah,
areas.
the supervision has to be under certain people.
Yeah, so we need to treat each one separately, I think. Like MLS and MLT could be one, and then number 2 could be the categorical, number 3 could be the phlebotomist. Right?
Cytotech, the cytotech.
Cytotech, yeah, right.
Okay, we'll get this back to you. You know, we just got to operate on it. And we can fix it.
Okay. But I mean, the wording is
All right.
what we're voting on, not the formatting,
Yeah.
right?
All right, guys, do we have someone that would like to make a motion to accept the general idea of section 3517 as discussed? Or do
I
y'all want to
move
stop
that-
now? Yeah, 2 hours.
Well, we can make a motion, right? You want to, I mean, are we
Yeah.
finished with this section except for reformatting?
Yes.
So
I'm not reformatting it tonight. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
No, no.
no.
Okay, I would like to move that we accept 3517 with the discussed revisions. Okay,
And format changes.
and format changes.
Angela, you got to turn off one of your things. Or I got to put you out.
Oh, it
Now,
finally came.
Do we have a second to this?
I'll second Shannon.
We have a motion by Angela with a second by Shannon to accept the suggested changes in discussion and formatting for section 3517. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Oh, Angela, is she here?
Uh-oh, she must have lost it.
No, I'm back. I'm
Okay.
here. I just
Majority
needed to
passed.
unmute because, yeah, we're good. I'm good.
Okay, motion passed.
Okay.
Okay.
The next 2 sections. Well, section 3519 is suggested elimination of the temporary license. And Patsy, were you having second thoughts on that?
I kind of am, because it says a law and it says that a temporary license may be granted to engage in the practice of clinical laboratory science in the category for which he is qualified until 6 weeks after the date of the next licensing examination. Well, that now is anytime. So I would suggest just letting them apply for the test. To get the temporary license, they have to have a date and to sit for the exam. And I don't know, maybe we don't want to start the license, the temporary license, until that date, or we can start the license before. No, that wouldn't be good. We would want to
what is the
start the
purpose of
license.
what's the purpose of the temporary license?
The reason we did this, the reason we took it out, if I'm remembering correctly, is because the temporary gives them the opportunity to release results without supervision or to work without supervision. And we were saying we don't want someone to be able to do that before they pass an exam.
That's true.
And that's why we were going to get rid of it and make it just a trainee.
That's true, but this, you're taking it to the legislature here.
Well, I think we can make a case for the legislature. Look, the legislature passes the laws and we enforce them. But we can make a suggestion that we change the law to reflect the things that in the modern era protect the life, safety, and health of the public.
Okay.
And if you think this is a protection for the life, safety, and health of the public, then I think you should put it in. If you don't, then tell us the purpose of it so we can understand it.
I mean,
And
that's
we
why we
may-
did it. But when we were talking about the other one, then we realized it kind of didn't fit both situations. So I
Let
don't
me
know what
ask a question. How often is the test given?
Anytime.
Yeah,
Any
but
day.
that's not true for categorical tests. Some that I'm familiar with are only offered periodically.
And also, isn't it on cycles? So if they don't pass the first time, they have to wait for the next cycle.
They do.
Yeah, so it's a time, it's not like they fail on one day and they can sign up and take it a week later. They usually have to wait a couple of months to take it.
So
again.
let me see if I get this straight. You're telling me, and we're comfortable if that's what you want to recommend to the board, that you finish your course of study, you take your test, you fail it, we're going to put you to work signing out stuff.
No, the rules currently say if you fail the test that you can't practice independently.
Okay, so if you can't practice,
But so you can work in a laboratory, but you can't. So like you couldn't be the only generalist in a laboratory.
I mean, do we change
Is that- is-
temporary to not, to you have to work with supervision? If you have a temporary license, you have to work with supervision. That sounds like the change that we need here.
Yeah, I agree. That would mean you wouldn't have to go back to the legislature. You couldn't necessarily sign out results with a
And it does
temporary.
sound like there's a need for a temporary license, just not to work independently or be able to work with like practice clinical laboratory science with no supervision or oversight.
You know, there are hospitals that will not hire anybody with a temporary license.
The
Can I
usher-
ask a question?
wait, that's a judgment call that they make, that they don't want those kind of people
They don't want
working
those
in their
people.
lab.
They don't.
Okay,
So that-
so if their judgment is considered valid for them, they should be able to do it.
They can do it. That's
Yeah.
fine. They don't hire them unless they have a full license.
But there are
Well,
places, there are
I
places
have-
that will hire them and that have supervisors that they're working under. I hope. And like they have to meet competency requirements by us to perform testing as well.
And I have had hospitals contact me because I guess I can get a report of the pass fail before the students actually have something to give them before it comes in the
Oh, yeah.
mail. And I've had the students sign a form saying I can release their test results to the hospital, and I will tell the hospital, yes, this student, I have proof that this student passed the certification exam, and they will let them work with a temporary, but they want proof that they passed that exam.
Right.
So can I say something? So the reason we're really having this discussion is for Patsy, is what she said, is that because there is a temporary license in the law. And what Dr. Van has said, I mean, there are lots of things in here that the law is gonna have to be revisited on. This is not the only thing. I don't understand why we can't take the temporary license out and just have these people get a trainee license until they pass the exam, and then they can apply for a regular license.
But then they can be a trainee for 2
2
years.
years.
They can't sign out results as a trainee.
No, that's true.
I mean, isn't that the whole point of a temporary can sign out results, a trainee can't, right?
And that was why we originally got rid of temporary.
We got rid of it, yeah. So I agree with y'all. Get rid of it.
I mean, there are lots of things here that are gonna have to be revisited with the law, I think, when the lawyers get a hold of it. So I don't know why they just can't get the trainee. And then as soon as they have evidence that they've passed the exam, it can convert to a, well, let me tell you what, if they don't pass that exam in a year, I don't think the hospitals are gonna keep them. It
They're
doesn't
not.
matter.
They're
It's moot.
not.
It's moot, right? I
Is-
mean, unless they, unless
And
they're.
at least we know,
accepted.
we're not putting them out there where they're putting out results and
They're
they're
working
failing
on a night shift,
certification.
signing out results.
So then it's up to the hospital how long they want to, carry that burden. But at least we know that they're not doing it unsupervised. However long that lasts, well,
Well,
you know.
And I
are we
think that was-
using the terminology under the direct supervision saying that that means they can't sign out results? Because,
Yeah.
okay. And that's okay, is that okay?
Where
I
does
wonder
it
if we
say,
should
show me
more
direct.
specifically say that they can't
That's
report
my
results.
question.
I think under trainee, it says that they cannot.
I
sign
didn't
out
see it.
results.
No,
under
it doesn't.
trainee.
I think
I
it
thought we
should.
had put that in there.
Trainee does in the definition, the general, under A, it says all work performed by a trainee under a trainee license shall be under the direct supervision of a clinical laboratory personnel licensed as MLSG.
Yeah, but it doesn't say you can't report the results.
Patsy, I thought we put that in somewhere.
I did too, but it doesn't, it's not that, I don't see it.
I don't know, I guess I'm having a.
I
don't
think
know.
we should
thought
put
that
it in.
We had specifically put that in there. Well, I don't know. Where does it need to go? Then let's put it. Under the trainee, a trainee may not sign out results. Because let me tell you what about the direct supervision. We've had, and if Miss Wilton's on, this is history on the committee. I remember we had an attorney look up exactly what the definition of direct supervision is. I think it has to say on site.
It needs to say on site. Because they said if it's reviewed within 24 hours, well, shoot, that result's already gone.
Yeah.
I think that's, beside that, I think we need to work a little bit more on what does direct supervision means.
Well, you can convert it to immediate on-site supervision and change it that way.
Could you put it in the definitions, the definition
you
of direct
say under the
supervision,
direct-
and then explain it in the beginning?
I think that's a good
Under what
idea.
Under what definition?
In the
Make a
beginning where you
definition.
have all the
All your
definitions.
definitions.
Of a trainee, you mean?
No,
No,
of
of
direct
direct
supervision.
supervision.
Oh, I think that's a term that's already been defined. I think you could put direct on-site supervision and then that eliminates the,
But everybody doesn't read that as they cannot report the result themselves.
And it's
Direct
also not,
Isn't
it's
in
also
there.
not time limited if time limited is your issue.
okay.
Right.
So we put a detailed description of what we mean by direct supervision, and then every time we use that term throughout this document, that's what it means.
Or we could put under trainee license, we could just say trainees are not allowed to report results. Can we put that? Is that what we thought we had put somewhere? I thought, Patsy?
That's what we mean. I don't know if we put it, but that's what we mean. I think it'd be better if it says it.
Just say it outright.
Yeah.
Trainee, individuals with trainee license may not report out results. Right?
Yes.
All right, that section's already been voted on. So somebody's gonna have to make a motion to go back and revisit it, don't they?
What section?
Yes.
3515.
3515A.
Okay, that was what we, okay. Yeah.
So this is what I've got for 3515A. A trainee may not sign out results. And we're going to take the word direct supervision and add a definition for it of this direct supervision.
Direct on-site supervision.
Well, we're going to define it as immediate on-site supervision.
Okay.
That's the
yeah,
definition.
Perfect.
We
Okay,
want to
that's
define
good.
direct supervision.
All
We're
right.
going to add a definition.
Okay. That's good.
Well,
Somebody
so,
want to make a motion to revisit?
can I ask Alexa one thing? So Alexa, if you're inspecting a lab and they have trainees in there, are they allowed to sign out results, trainees? Under
Well,
CLIA?
that's up to you guys.
Oh, okay, all right, but, okay, well, what about a trainee in a state without licensing?
So I,
According to CLIA.
okay, I'm going to go backwards. First of all, I don't see a trainee license. Those are not issued regularly right now, at least to my knowledge. I can't remember the last time I went in. I think I've maybe seen one trainee license in all of my surveys, like CLIA surveys. So it's not, I have seen temporary ones. So when we look at it, we require that we expect that somebody licensed is present when they're performing the test and that person is operating under them. We don't have anything currently in the rules to say they can't report it.
You mean our rules?
Right. So I can't say based on the
Yeah,
license,
okay.
you haven't met the requirements. So if you put in there, trainee may not report patient results, then forever, when we look at a trainee license, it should not be reported by that individual. Somebody else should be turning out that result.
Right. That's what we mean. That's what we want.
That's fine.
Okay, you need a motion to reconsider 3515A and then adopt it as we put it on the screen for you.
Who wants to make a motion to visit 3515A again?
I'll motion.
All right,
I'll
revisit.
second.
Who's
Shannon.
that?
Shannon,
Larry.
second.
All right, all in favor
Aye.
of
Aye.
Aye.
revisiting?
Aye. Aye.
So with the motion to reconsider 3515A with suggested changes, right?
No, first you got to reconsider
Well,
it, then you
we're gonna-
amend it, then they move to the adopt.
We have to vote again.
Oh, okay, okay, so this was just a motion to reconsider, okay. I
Yes.
got it.
Anybody hadn't voted? Anybody opposed? Okay, now we've got section 3515A with the suggested revisions again. Does that say everything y'all want it to say about not reporting results?
Wait.
I hadn't fed her, Jerry.
What's the matter, Pat?
Okay, well, I'm trying, it's so small. I'm with you about reading it.
Hang on, I'll make it bigger.
I can actually read this, okay. I mean, maybe it's how you have it enlarged on your screen, I don't know.
Yeah, that's better. Okay.
And I highlighted this, you can't see off to the right, I made a note. We're going to put a definition of direct supervision in the beginning of the rules.
Okay.
I can't show it to you all at once because it's too big.
Add definition. Okay. And where does it say that they are not going to report results?
Right
Oh,
here,
there it is.
trainee
The
may not
trainee
sign
may
out
not-
or report.
Okay, that's it. I like it. It's good.
Okay, can I make a motion? I make a motion that we accept the updated changes to 3515A.
I'll
Do we have a
second.
second? Who?
Shannon.
Shannon and Angela and Shannon.
So the
All right, so we have a
updated-
motion by Angela with a second by Shannon to accept the changes made to section 3515A. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any opposition? Motion carried.
Okay, and I make a comment that I need, public comment came in again from Mr. Mark Berenbaum. Removing a temporary license requires a statutory amendment of the statute. So I just want to make that, thank him for his comment, and we move on. So now we're back to this, which has been left unaddressed at this time. Oh, wait a minute, I missed it.
No, 3519.
3519, right here.
The recommendation of the committee had been to remove 3519 and use the trainee license 3515 in its place. Is there any discussion? It is with the understanding that this will have to be presented as the change is necessary for patient safety and presented to the legislature as such. Anybody would like to make a motion to delete this section?
I'll make a motion to delete the section.
Motion by Shannon, anyone second?
I second Yolanda.
Yolanda second. Motion by Shannon and sorry about that. Motion by Shannon and second by Yolanda to move section 3519. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
One last section, Ms. Gay.
Anyone opposed? It passed. All righty, the last section is 3521. And that section was recommended to be deleted because it was a duplicate section and we've already got a section in there for reinstatement of licenses. Is there any discussion?
I move to delete that section 3521. Beverly.
I second.
Was that, who seconded, Angela?
Angela.
We have a motion by Beverly and second by Angela to remove section 3521. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Section passed. All right, guys, we made it to section C. We need to pick a date for another meeting to progress on through this. Anybody have any suggestions? How long do y'all want to wait before we meet again?
Not too long.
How about the 26th?
What day of the week is that?
That's a Thursday, 3 weeks from today.
I'm good with Thursdays. I'm not on call.
Dr. Collada, if you don't
Yes.
need me, that's fine. If you do need me, you had approved some of us to go to that EEOC training on that day.
All right, I apologize. You want to do it the 19th in 2
The
weeks? I
19th would
apologize.
be awesome.
That's 2 weeks from
Okay,
today.
remember we have
can't do the
another,
19th. We have the pro tem board on the 19th.
Okay, so then we're back to the 9th. The 9th of
September.
September.
Well, I'm on vacation, but that's okay. Y'all, if I
Internet
can
works all over the world. Where are you going?
I'm not listening to this. It doesn't matter where I'm going. How about that?
That's your choice. Don't say you didn't get what you wanted.
No, I mean, go ahead and set it. If I can make it, I'll make it. I'll try.
And anybody can do it on short notice and do it on the 12th?
We have a meeting on the 12th already.
We
Oh,
already got a
sorry.
meeting on the
Wait,
12th.
when is the 9th? That's next week, right?
September the 9th,
Oh,
Angela.
September. Oh, no, I'm here. Oh, I thought you meant you were moving it up. Okay.
No,
never
we
mind.
have a meeting on the 12th next week anyway.
Okay, so September 9th, that's great. I'm good with that.
Okay.
Oh, wait,
Sorry. What?
we can probably
So
do the
should we set that
26th.
as our target?
I think I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I think I just sent y'all down a rabbit hole for no good reason. That I'm sure that EEOC training's not still going to be going on at 5 o'clock. I was thinking, y'all
Oh,
should-
yeah. Okay.
yeah,
So we could do August 26th.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
good.
So let's shoot that as our target of 8/26/21 for our next meeting. 5 o'clock still okay?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
And everybody review the next sections, so we'll be ready to discuss them and move through them. That was the only thing on our agenda. So if we're done with this, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Before you adjourn, for the public's benefit,
Sir?
may I make the following statement that we've said a few times already today? And that is, if somebody wants a copy of the original document, not the one we've edited today, they can send me an email at my board email address and we will send them a copy. It will not be any of the changes we made today. Number two, this is the very first preliminary process. This is not rulemaking. Rulemaking will not occur until the full board makes a decision on what we as the advisory committee propose. And what we as the advisory committee propose will be sanitized, determined if we need to do statutory changes and all of those things before anything goes to the board. So understand where we are, and I hope everybody understands the process. So this process is not rulemaking. Thank you very much. That's all I wanted to say.
The rules are also available on your website, on the LSBME website.
Yes.
The unchanged ones. All right, do I have a motion for us to adjourn?
I'll
move
motion
that
to
we-
adjourn.
Okay, that was Shannon?
Yes.
Okay. I second.
Thanks, everybody.
All right,
Appreciate
motion
your
and
time.
second.
Thank you.
All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Aye.